everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today we're going to be talking about Talk to Me and its brand new 4K Blu-ray from Lionsgate. So Talk to Me had its original premiere back in 2022. It had its Sundance premiere earlier this year, and then it went worldwide this past summer, and it quickly got recognition as one of the best horror films and just one of the best films in general to come out in 2023. This film was actually directed by twin brothers, Michael and Danny Philippou. I hope I'm saying their last names right. These two actually had a YouTube channel, a very successful YouTube channel that they started in 2013, and they decided to spin their brand, which actually doesn't really match up too well with what this film is, but they decided to make a horror film, and A24 picked up the rights and they decided to distribute it. And this does feel like the kind of movie A24 would pick up, a really highbrow horror film, but it's actually a lot faster paced in comparison to a lot of other A24 films. These two brothers really know how to move a camera around and tell a very compelling story. So Sophie Wilde is the star of this movie, and she just does a phenomenal job. This was the first thing I had ever seen her in, but she just carries the emotion of this movie. So the film actually follows around her and a bunch of other teenagers, her friends Riley and Jade, who are brother and sister, and a couple other kids, and they're doing what teenagers do. You know, you get an embalmed hand, and when you shake that hand, you put your hand in it, you say, "Talk to me," and you see a ghost. And this is kind of normal for these kids. You know, they don't really seem to be too bothered by the fact that there's a ghost in the room. You know, they all got their phones out, they're laughing about it. This is just one big slumber party fun thing to do, and that's what they're there to do. You got 90 seconds essentially, and then you got to pull the hand out of the other person's hand, but you say, "Talk to me," and then if you want to, you say, "Let me in," and the ghost basically takes over your body, and that stuff is just horrifying. I mean, the way, like, they're gagging, and then the ghost starts to, you don't know, each time it's a different ghost. You never know who's going to be on the other side. So sometimes you get some really creepy guy. Sometimes you get somebody who's just trying to connect with these people. Sometimes it's really funny. But then if you go over that 90 seconds, though, things start to get really, really bad. And that's what happens to one of these kids, and then that's how we end up with a movie. But this movie is an allegory for loss and grief, and just talking about how we are so desensitized in 2023. Originally, these brothers got the idea because a friend of theirs was experimenting with drugs, and he started having a seizure, and everyone pulled their phones out and started taking a video of it, not trying to help the person. And that's basically what this movie's trying to show you, is they all just don't care that what could possibly happen. You know, if you go over the 90 seconds, there's the chance that that ghost could be stuck inside you, and there's no way to get rid of them. So they're playing with fire, but they don't really care. You know, that's what these kids are. They don't care until it's too late. And Sophie Wilde, like I said earlier, she is just doing such a great job. Her character, we find out in the very beginning of this movie, she's still grieving from the loss of her mother. You know, we believe we know what happened, but as the movie progresses, maybe we aren't so sure about what exactly happened to her. And Sophie Wilde, she's just having such a hard time. And as the movie progresses, it just doesn't get any easier for her. And I mean, this movie doesn't give you the happy ending that you think you're gonna get. The ending actually, it's very realistic in a movie that doesn't seem like it could possibly happen. It feels like it's just on the cusp of reality, but it's just trying to turn the camera back on us and what we are like as humanity at this point, and to just see how we just can overwhelm one person and just keep beating them down, even when their intentions are the best. This movie is showing you all of that. And then again, the way they went for it at the end is just incredible. And then, of course, the horror sequences. I've heard that this is one of the scariest movies ever. I don't get scared of movies anymore, unfortunately. I wish I did. It just doesn't happen for me anymore. But this movie actually did make me uncomfortable in sequences, so they did such a good job shooting it, and the way they moved the camera around, it really cannot be undersold. Like, they must have put it like on certain mechanisms, so like if somebody falls on the floor, the camera falls with them, and if they move back up, the camera follows them back up. So the camera's never really sitting still, so the movie's actually paced very, very well, which is shocking because it does take about 35 to 40 minutes to really build up these characters. Great character development, so we care about these kids, so whatever happens to them in the second half of this movie, it doesn't just feel like nameless teenagers getting hurt or killed. It actually feels like characters that we have invested our time into, and we want to actually see them succeed or fail depending on who the character is. And it's 2023, so it's shot beautifully. Even the score to this movie is great, has awesome sound effects that when they pop in there, I mean, they really do get under your skin. So when they said that this was one of the best horror films of 2023, they were not lying. It actually is the best horror film of 2023. You know, 2023, I'd have to say, has been kind of a disappointing year for horror, coming off of last year's horror films where we had Pearl and X and Barbarian. We had so many classics come out of just last year. This year, I felt like it's been kind of a disappointment with sequels that haven't lived up to the hype. Movies that we thought were going to be good ended up just being pretty boring. I haven't checked out Cobweb yet. I heard that's a great horror film too. But for me, Talk to Me is far and away the best, and is actually one of the top 10 films to even come out this year. I look forward to seeing what these brothers do next. So if you haven't seen Talk to Me and you were waiting for this 4K Blu-ray like I was, I could definitely recommend it from a film standpoint, but we're also here today to talk about the new 4K Blu-ray from Lionsgate. But before we do that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, lists, podcasts, and shorts, nothing helps this channel out more than by just simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel.
They like you.
Well, here's the Lionsgate 4K Blu-ray. I got it through Amazon. Amazon actually has another exclusive release, and Umbrella is releasing a steelbook of this. Not to mention, A24 is putting out a nice little smoking pipe, or as they like to say, incense burner of the actual hand, the actual ceramic hand that appears in this movie. You can buy your own life-size version of that. I think it's a little bit over $100, but that is awesome. You can buy that through A24's website. You can't buy the 4K through A24 yet, but this movie is successful enough, made $88 million at the box office on a shoestring $4.4 million budget. So eventually, this probably will get a nice A24 collector's edition, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, Midsommar, and The Lighthouse. But for now, we got the regular slipcover version that I got from Amazon. You slide this off, same artwork underneath, nothing too special there. And right now, it's about $25. This is actually pretty fair for that price for what you get here, the regular slipcover, new release film. You come inside, it's one Blu-ray, one 4K disc. The Blu-ray is Region A, so if you buy this and you haven't imported it, you're gonna need a Region A Blu-ray player. It's not gonna work in a Region B or C. And then the 4K and the Blu-ray actually have the same exact audio tracks and extras. So the extras are doubled up on both the Blu-ray and 4K, so it doesn't matter which disc you put in, you'll get the same exact audio and the same exact extras. So you're gonna get this new Dolby Atmos track, which is awesome. It's a modern 2023 horror film, so it's mixed so well. You'll hear sounds coming from everywhere, sound effects coming from behind you, things that just creep up in your left and right ear just because it's mixed so well. The dialogue is crisp and clear. Everything is done so well from a technical standpoint with this Dolby Atmos track. Is it reference quality? In the horror genre, maybe. It makes good use of all of your speakers. You know, it's not that overbearing woofer that you would expect from maybe like an 80s horror film, but for a modern horror film, I think it definitely is probably one of the better Dolby Atmos tracks I've ever heard. And to get it on a new release, that's awesome. I really do appreciate that. And as far as the visuals go, from that Blu-ray to the 4K, now this was shot in native 4K. So usually when a new release film comes out, for the most part, they shoot it in 8K, 4K, a lot of times 2K. So for the most part, you'll get a 2K intermediate. So the 2K is just, brought up to 4K. So that 1080p disc is very comparable to the 4K disc. But not in this sense. Because it's shot in native 4K, it's actually a downgraded version on Blu-ray, and it's pretty noticeable. The 4K is much better. It's got HDR10, Dolby Vision, it's in the aspect ratio of 2.39, so you're going to have the black bars on the top and bottom of your screen. That is no issue at all. It still looks stunning, but the 4K is just so much better than the Blu-ray, and I really didn't expect that, mainly in the skin tones and how the skin actually looks. They look so much more natural on the 4K, whereas the Blu-ray, they look artificial and fake in a lot of times, and almost gray and waxy, and it's weird for a modern day Blu-ray. Now, it's not the whole time, it's still a good Blu-ray, but the 4K is just outshining it on every level. The colors pop. For the most part, Mia is wearing a yellow jacket, and on the 4K, your eyes are gonna get drawn to it, while on the Blu-ray, it just looks flat, almost like everything else. But again, it's not a bad Blu-ray, but the 4K is just doing such a good job of enhancing aspects that are on the Blu-ray. Mainly that's because of the Dolby Vision, the HDR10, and raising the resolution to 4K. It's just making everything look so much better. So for a new release, usually the Blu-ray and the 4K are very comparable, but in my opinion, the 4K is worlds better than the Blu-ray that gets packed in here. But if you are buying it, either which way you go, it's still a decent Blu-ray, but I highly recommend checking it out on 4K, at least for the visuals. And overall, I can definitely recommend this 4K Blu-ray at $25. It's a new film, so it's going to be priced a little bit higher, but it's not priced in that $30 to $32 range like Fast X or Evil Dead Rise. No, mainly because it's a Lionsgate film and they're just kind of putting it out. And you would expect this to have just come to Blu-ray and not even 4K for a movie like this. Usually horror films like Cobweb only came to Blu-ray, but luckily for us, this movie was popular enough. We got it on 4K, so for $25, I can definitely say it's worth it. The visuals are great. The audio is really good. You know, not many extras, but for a new release to even get any extras is really nice. You get a good 15-minute making of documentary, some deleted scenes, TV spots, nothing too much, but I honestly didn't expect anything because most new releases don't give us too much, but to actually peek behind the curtain just a little bit was nice. Eventually down the line, we'll get the real bells and whistles of extras, probably when A24 and maybe a year or two releases this in their own collector's edition 4K. But for now, I'm very happy with this release. I could definitely recommend it. If I was going to give it a score of 1 to 10, I'm going to have to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I could definitely recommend it. If you're not in a rush to check it out, it probably will be on sale next month for Black Friday. So if you can wait till then, you'll probably be able to grab it in the $20 range. But for now, $25 is a pretty good deal, especially in comparison to other new releases. So anyway, guys, if you want to continue to support Let's Talk, you can grab this film and its new 4K Blu-ray through my Amazon affiliate link. It costs no extra money to you, but it does really help out the channel. But the best thing and the best way to help out the channel is just by you simply hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, getting out in those streets, and telling your friends about us. And we'll be seeing you around.